Please help me welcome to speak to us tonight, Dr. Magdalene Jean-Louis.
Thank you so much, Gideon, for this opportunity. As he said, I enjoy discussing health with individuals, especially to help them with chronic diseases, non-communicable diseases. So I'm happy this thing is not live on the internet, is among us. So I feel a little more relaxed that we could share. And the topic I named it, let's talk about diabetes. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. Okay. Okay, so our objectives, our topic, let's talk about diabetes. That's the topic I was given. And our objectives this evening would be to raise awareness of in-depth analysis of diabetes, to provide structured education in an effort to prevent diabetes and or prevent preventable complications, to empower participants, which is you, with tips for lifestyle change. I was hoping that the ladies would be there also, but it's okay. I know the men will share with the ladies, right?
The ladies are there also.
Oh, they are there. Okay,
They are
nice.
ladies there, yes.
Okay. So we are going to be chatting with each other. And I did not give any data about diabetes in St. Lucia or in the world because I think it is so common that there was no need for that. As a matter of fact, how many people on this platform do not know someone with diabetes? Type amen. Do we get any amens? If you do not know someone with diabetes, either a relative, a friend, a church member, someone, you could type amen. And I would also like you to while I speak, to write what you understand about diabetes. Is it a common disease? Can it be prevented? Can it be cured with a tablet? What do you know about diabetes? And I am not going to respond to it now, but we will respond to it at some point. Okay. What is diabetes really? Diabetes is a very complex disease that is still under research. It impacts many organs of the body, such as the pancreas, the liver, the stomach, the blood vessels, the heart, the intestine, the nerves throughout the body, right? And so before we actually talk about diabetes, let's just refresh our minds of the normal process of digestion, right? When we eat, digestion begins in the mouth. We put that food in our mouth, whatever it is, and the saliva is needed because it has the enzyme to work on the sugar. What is this sugar all about? The food we eat turns into sugar. Everything you eat turns into sugar. And the process continues in the stomach. We have acid in the stomach to continue the process. And the sugar happens, the absorption of sugar happens in the small intestine. And it then goes into the bloodstream, which causes a little rise in the blood sugar, but then that goes back down. And with that rise in the blood sugar, you get the release of insulin from the pancreas to work with that sugar to enter the muscle cells. So you see, as I said earlier, you need the stomach, you need the liver, you need the small intestine, you need the pancreas, and you will see why later. Okay, so what is diabetes? Diabetes is a non-communicable disease, meaning that you cannot get diabetes from somebody else. Where there is too much sugar or glucose in the blood. Now we say glucose because glucose is the end product of sugar, and that's what that is absorbed in the blood. So when you eat, the foods you eat, it turns into glucose to be absorbed by the body. And so this is what glucose is all about, right? And that glucose, remember our bodies are made out of cells, tissues, organs, and systems. We have different systems, like we have the reproductive system. That's a system that deals with making babies, and the respiratory system, our breathing, our lungs, but the system that impacts diabetes the most is the digestive system, okay? So when we eat to get energy for our cells. I would like you to follow with me carefully, because you have to get it so that you will be able to know what to do eventually to prevent it. It's very important. Okay? So we said that when we eat, everything we eat turns into sugar, glucose, and this glucose is needed by the cells or the organs or the system, the whole system, our whole body, entire body. It is needed to give us energy. That's how we are able to work and talk and do all these things. And where do we get the glucose from or the sugar from? The foods we eat. All the foods we eat, everything we eat turns into sugar. Except fat. Fat does not directly turn into sugar, but it has a process where it can turn into sugar. Everything we eat, good or bad, it turns into sugar, right? To give us the energy to run, to play. And as I said, the pancreas is another organ that plays a role in that sugar getting into the cells, the muscle cells. Because what happened? The glucose must get to the cells with insulin. Without insulin, no glucose getting into any cell, right? And let's try and think of insulin right now as a key to open doors on the cells. And these doors are called receptors. Doors. Receptors are doors. Insulin is a key. Okay? So you have your sugar, you know where it comes from the food you eat, and it has to go into the cells. It does not have to stay in the blood. It's not supposed to stay in the blood. It's supposed to go into the cells to give you energy. And this is where we actually get the types of diabetes. If you follow me closely again, you will see we have two locks there. One lock has a hole, but it doesn't have a key. Remember we said the key is insulin? It does not have a key. So this lock is useless. No key to get in there to open it. So this represents type 1 diabetes, right? no insulin is produced, or very little insulin is produced. Of course, later we'll see why. And we have another lock. There is a key, but there is no space, no hole, no entry area, right? And we call this one type 2 diabetes because in type 2 diabetes, there's more than enough insulin produced. It's just that that insulin does not find an entry into the cells, into the doors of the cell. The receptors are not working. Okay, and that's where we get our types of diabetes. So let's officially say that there are mainly 3 types of diabetes, and they are type 1 or insulin-dependent diabetes, because you must have insulin to survive. If you're type 1, you don't produce the insulin, or you produce very little, that it will not work for you. It is called juvenile diabetes. It is found in young people and babies or children. And we have type 2 diabetes, non-insulin dependent, or lifestyle condition, adult onset. All these are type 2. All these names we can call type 2. And then we have gestational diabetes, where the hormones in pregnancy are causing problems. Okay, so what is insulin? Insulin is a hormone or chemical produced by a gland of the endocrine system. The endocrine system is a messenger gland. They are messenger glands of the body. Okay, that's just information. So let's go back to insulin. Insulin is made in the beta cells of the pancreas, and it helps to regulate the blood sugar. But we also have another set of cells in the pancreas, alpha cells. We have the beta cells and we have the alpha cells. The alpha cells of the pancreas produces glucagon. Glucagon is what helps our blood sugar to go up when it goes low. That's when there's no insulin, there's no hormone imbalance, there's no issue. Under normal circumstances, that's why we are able to spend long hours without eating, and our sugar level will not drop to dangerously low levels, because we have glucagon that will get sugar from our liver and put it in the system. You'll hear more about that later. So insulin is active when the blood sugar is high, and glucagon becomes active when the blood sugar is low. Okay, so the pancreas is located under the stomach, right? That's the stomach there. The pancreas is located right there. The stomach is in white and the pancreas is right there. And you have the liver right here. Okay, so again, we are going to see how the 2 of them come together to enter the cell. So we said that we need insulin, a key, and we need a door or a lock. So the 2 of them, as always, a lock and a key comes together. The 2 of them comes together and ushers the sugar into the cells, right? That's what happens. That's what's supposed to happen under normal circumstances. When this happens, there's no diabetes there. That's normal occurrence. Okay? Okay. So let's say you eat your belly full, you eat everything, all what you want, and what happens when the insulin receptors refuse to work? Because that is one of the issues in diabetes, right? Too much sugar in the blood. The sugar not supposed to be in the blood. It's supposed to be in the muscle cells after you eat, because a signal is sent to the brain to produce insulin so that the sugar can enter. The signal is sent to the pancreas and the insulin is produced. But when it comes to this, the two of them standbys, but nothing happens. Or at first, something will happen. It will enter the muscle cells because there are many, many doors, not one door, many doors, but eventually they will close off. As things get worse, they will close off, right? So you eat, a signal is sent to the pancreas, produce insulin, that is done, right? But the insulin does not go through the locks because the locks are rusty, right? And you call that insulin resistance. The receptors are oxidized or damaged. This is called pre-diabetes, right? Where the blood sugar begins to rise, but not sufficiently for diagnosis. As insulin resistance progresses, what do you think happens? The pancreas will step up production of insulin. Then the pancreas gets tired and can't function the way it used to. The insulin is produced, yet the glucose is not entering the cells. The blood glucose begins to rise during the day. Blood sugar would be not too bad in the morning, but stays up during the day. So that's the beginning of insulin resistance or early stages of diabetes or pre-diabetes. Okay? So what happens? More insulin is produced. And as a matter of fact, we call that high production of insulin. But high production of insulin, they call it insulinemia, hyperinsulinemia, is not a good thing. You would say, okay, well, let's produce the insulin because more insulin, but you see, more insulin, it's still not going in because the problem is not the insulin. The problem is the doors on the cells are not allowing the insulin and the sugar to enter. There's a problem there. So you begin to have high production of insulin. High production and circulation of insulin levels should be a concern. As insulin remains elevated, cells become more resistant to insulin signaling and glucose. And you know what happens then? That insulin, that high production of insulin, it brings down the fatty acids like the cholesterol. It goes around, it causes the blood vessels to get weak and narrow. This is why we have like high blood pressure, and this is why sometimes somebody's pressure is going up and the nurse will tell you, you know what, let's do your blood sugar too. Because the pressure, the sugar, all of them are related, and the pressure especially stems from the high production of insulin. Okay? So With high circulating insulin, your body resists breaking down fat. When there's a lot of insulin in circulation, you find that the body does not break down fat easily. So you find people beginning to get this big abdomen, or the sides are getting to be, you know, larger than usual. That's a sign of too much insulin production. Therefore, the aim is to create an environment in which you're sensitive to insulin. Insulin sensitivity is your body's ability to use insulin properly to regulate the amount of glucose in the blood. Okay? You actually have signs of insulin resistance. You have inability to lose weight, constant hunger, fatigue, especially after eating, aches and pains, abdominal obesity, especially the upper part of your abdomen or your belly, increased fat storage. You begin to get low thyroid issues, hypothyroidism, estrogen dominance. You need estrogen to do its work, but like too much estrogen can create imbalance, right? Hormone imbalance, right? High cholesterol, and the list goes on. Okay, so although we're talking about diabetes, we must talk about this, because all this is part of the whole game. And remember, tonight we are doing in-depth analysis of what is happening. When you leave this platform tonight, I would like you to understand what is happening, why it is happening, and what we are going to do about it. Okay? So hyperinsulinemia, that's just a big word for high production of insulin. There are many reasons. One of the reasons that it is produced, it is because the receptors are not working properly to usher the sugar with the insulin into the cells so you can get your energy, so that you don't have sugar in your blood staying and accumulating. That's the main reason associated with diabetes. But then there are other reasons why people get a high production of insulin. For example, it can be a genetic thing. There are some people that the cholesterol, no matter how they watch the diet, the cholesterol is high. But those people, if they, I know people like that, and they tailor their diet to such a level that they have no issues with that anymore. Excessive intake of carbohydrates is a very, very common reason why you get high production of insulin. Long-term use of steroids and statin. Statin is a medication they like to give for high cholesterol. That can trigger high production of insulin also, right? And even leptin dysfunction. Leptin is simply the ability of the brain to recognize when you are filled, to stop eating. That can cause you to have insulin, high production of insulin, because it just says you eat more, or in 20 minutes after 20 minutes of eating, you should begin to feel satisfied to the point where you don't want again. Well, it depends on the type of foods you eat too, but that's normal. But if you find that you're going beyond and you just ate, you want to eat, that means your your leptin function is not as good. And leptin resistance is caused by insufficient sleep, too much stress, too much of the wrong foods, inflammatory foods, overeating, high insulin levels, lack of sunshine, alcohol, bright lights, unhealthy gut. These are just a parcel, but they all are related. Okay? And you have symptoms, more or less what I said there. But if these things are not corrected, things like leptin resistance, if it's not corrected, you'll end up with the same thing we're talking about tonight. You'll end up with fatty liver, you'll end up with inflammatory bowel diseases, you'll end up with mitochondrial dysfunction, and that's just the powerhouse of the cell. You want it functioning well so that your body can, your organs can function well, your systems can function well, and your body function well. So you want it, the leptin resistance, it has to be corrected so that these can go away. So another organ we want to talk about, the liver, very important as it relates to diabetes, sugar, and I mean, it has other uses, right? But the liver is considered a storehouse for the sugar, for sugar. Functions of the liver, as I said, it has other functions. I just felt I should let you know, when knowledge is power, the more you know, the more you appreciate why you should do this, or you should not do that, or should change your lifestyle. It's important. The liver has many functions, including secretion of bile, metabolism of bilirubin, metabolism of nutrients like fats, proteins, carbohydrates, metabolic detoxification of toxins, drugs, hormones, storage of minerals. And so you see the liver is very, very busy, very important organ, very, very important. Production of cholesterol, right? All this it does. Activation of vitamin D, conversion of thyroxine 4 and 3 and 4. All these has a bearing on your thyroid function. Secretes angiotensinogen, which is a protein that helps to produce angiotensin, and all that is related to your blood pressure. So in essence, the liver has a lot of important functions. And as it relates to sugar, diabetes, the function of the liver is to store glucose for a later time when your body needs it. The liver is the glucose storehouse. I want you to remember that. So when you sleep, that's where you're supposed to get your sugar to give you energy. Because while you sleep, you still need energy. Everything you do, you need energy, right? When if you decide to fast, you need energy, and you can get that from the liver. Okay, it helps to balance the blood sugar, and you need to ensure that the liver is functioning properly so that that aspect of the sugar can do well. Because I'll tell you something, if your liver is not functioning well, or it's fatty, you know, there is what you call fatty liver. They have alcoholic liver diseases, fatty liver, they call it cirrhosis, but they also have non-alcoholic liver disease, and they call it fatty liver, and that comes mainly from our eating practices, the things we eat. It destroys the liver. So there's no space for the liver to store the sugar. And normally when the liver is fatty, you find that the other organs around, like the pancreas, they become fatty also. So, foods that causes fatty liver, alcohol, added sugars, fried foods, processed foods, high salt foods, red meats, high fructose corn syrup. As for the high fructose corn syrup, it is found in so many foods, but it is real. High fructose corn syrup destroys your liver. Okay, so we have come to our very first revision, and I'm hoping that you are actually learning, or you are actually memorizing or internalizing something so far. If you are not, if there's anything you would like me to repeat or explain, I will. But I want you to get it so far. The food we eat goes into the stomach and is broken down to produce glucose. Okay? The glucose, which is the end product of the foods we eat, is transported around the body in the blood. Some glucose is then stored in the liver. In the blood, some glucose is then stored in the liver, and it is released when it is needed, okay? When needed. Okay, I hope you all got that correct, right? Okay. Insulin acts like a key to open doors on the cells to allow glucose to get into the cells where it is used for energy. Insulin is produced in the pancreas. Extra glucose is stored in the liver. If you got that correctly, I am very, very happy that you are beginning to understand. How many people got that correctly? Everybody got that correctly? You could type an amen in the chat. Are you with me?
Amen.
I'm hoping that you are with me. I can continue?
We're listening. You could
Please
continue.
do. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Learning.
right.
It's good stuff.
Okay. So now we did what really is diabetes, how it operates. We spoke about the sugar and insulin, how they come together to get the glucose into the muscle cells so that we can get our energy and all that. And we spoke about the liver, and now we are going to speak about the signs and symptoms of diabetes. Okay, we know them: always tired, frequent urination, sudden weight loss, wounds that won't heal, sexual problems, always hungry, blurred vision, numbness or tingling of feet and hands, and for the ladies, vaginal infection, and for the men, erectile dysfunction, but you may not get it initially, afterwards. So let's see how this all came about. Feeling thirsty. Because the kidney has to work hard to flush the excess sugar from the blood or in the blood, it cannot keep up because it also has to absorb fluid for the body. So what happens? it turns to the tissues for fluid. You know, our body is made up of 70% or so of our body is made up of fluid. So we have fluid in the interstitial space. We have fluid in and out in between of the cells. So the kidney now will quickly send its messenger to get the fluid, draw out the fluid from there. And this is why you become thirsty, you become dehydrated, and you begin to drink and drink and drink. And then consequently, you would begin to urinate. You get tired, you get fatigued, and like you don't have energy. You don't know you're always tired, right? And that's because the cells are not functioning well. The mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, is in trouble. It's not functioning well, right? And then that's how you get the excess weight loss or unexplained weight loss. Because what happens? The sugar cannot enter the cells. The body believes that it is being starved. So it turns to the muscles and the fat for energy. So you say, I'm not doing anything to lose weight, but I'm losing weight, rapid weight loss. On the other hand, you could have rapid weight gain. The rapid weight gain comes as a result of the high production of insulin. Remember, we said in the beginning, high production of insulin makes it difficult to lose weight. Well, that can happen also. So you could have either extreme, weight loss or weight gain. Then you have numbness and tingling in your hands and feet. This is because the sugar goes around your body, destroying the nerves in your eye, the back of your eyes, the retina, right? Then you have the nerves. That's why I told you the men, the private, what they cherish so well, that eventually, if they don't catch it on time, that the nerves there gets a little damage. You may not feel the damage right away, but when you get a little older, you'll say, but he's not standing up. What's going on? But the damage was done already. For the ladies now, if you notice you having yeast infection repeatedly without, some ladies, they actually are at risk for yeast infection. If you are taking antibiotics, you may get yeast infection. If you wear nylon panties, you will get yeast infection. If you wear very tight jeans and often, you probably that can cause overproduction of the normal bacteria down there, and you can get yeast infection. But if you don't do any of these things and you always have yeast infection, go check your sugar, please. Okay, so now we are going to the risk factors. So we did the signs and symptoms, and I think most of us know the signs and symptoms of diabetes. The risk factors for type 1 diabetes, some of them are the same risk factors for type 2. But type 1, family history, especially if it's on both sides of the family, like your mom and your dad, your people have diabetes, then you most likely would have the genes. But that still don't mean that you would be caught in the game. But the risk factor would be there, right? Obesity, poor gut microbiomes, diet, breastfeeding possibly decrease risk because early cow's milk is a big risk factor, and I will share that with you when we come to causes, right? Possibly decrease vitamin D, lack of vitamin D. So if you're not getting enough sun, especially the people in the temperatures where they are indoors a lot because of the cold, they can come down with diabetes very much. And for risk factors for type 2, as I said, so they are interchange. Family history too is still a factor. Physical inactivity, age, as you get older, your risk gets higher. But if you know what to do, or if you understand the whole dynamics, you could change that risk factor. It will just be a risk factor anyway. High blood pressure, history of gestational diabetes, prediabetes, cholesterol, polycystic ovaries, all these are risk factors. Yes, obesity, especially your waistline, all these are risk factors. Medication also can be a risk factor. Corticosteroids, like if you're asthmatic and they give you prednisolone, long-term use of prednisolone can trigger diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Beta blockers. Some people take beta blockers for high blood pressure, for other uses of it, not just high blood pressure, but they mainly give it for pressure. Like not amlopidine. I'm not going to mention because I don't want you to stop taking your medication just so. But beta blockers causes weight gain. Statins, these are those for cholesterol. Long-term use of that can also increase your risk. Then you have chemicals and plastic, GMO foods that can trigger allergies for your gut. We'll talk about the leaky gut later. And inflammation on the whole. All these are risk factors. Air pollution. Actually, they are making a big deal out of the air pollution now. They have the research is going on about that. They're saying that traffic-related air pollution with the nitrogen and all the other disruptors, these are actually risk factors. But risk factors are just risk factors. You can have the risk factors, you can have as many risk factors as possible, but it depends on your lifestyle. If you do what you have to do, you don't necessarily have to be a diabetic. No. Or if you do become a diabetic, you can work your way out of it or to prevent complications of it. Right. So now we are going to the causes. So we know there are risk factors, but there are actual causes that you actually come down with diabetes type 1, first of all. Well, there are many theories as to the cause of type 1 diabetes. Researchers are saying that it's an autoimmune reaction. That means your body fighting itself. It can be from genetics. It can be damage to the cells that produce insulin. It can even be a physical damage, because if a baby gets trauma, physical trauma, a blow to the pancreas or something like that, they can come down with type 1 diabetes. Then you have also environmental triggers like viral infection, that's for babies also, babies and children, perhaps bacteria from the stomach and intestine that can destroy the beta cells in the pancreas, and eventually the child would not be able to produce sufficient insulin, and they will have to be on insulin for the rest of their lives. Then we have researchers are also pointing fingers to the protein in cow's milk for beta cells destruction. It is said that people with type 1 diabetes inherited a trait that causes their body to produce proteins on the beta cells. And these proteins are similar to the protein or casein, they call it, that's in the cow's milk. And as the children grow up, their bodies begin to produce antibodies against this cow's protein. So they attack the beta cells, destroying them in the process. Now, this would not happen right away as the children grows, because remember, you have lots of cells. So eventually they'll die, that one died, this one soldier gone, another soldier gone, right? This is why it is advisable to breastfeed rather than use the formula, the cow's milk-based formula. I think they have started using other choices more than the cow's milk because they realize that. And it is a true occurrence because I can share an experience. Actually, I worked at the hospitals, St. Lucia, Victoria Hospital. I remember while being a nurse there was a 5-year-old boy the mom brought to the hospital saying that he was not well. And when they checked his sugar was very high, and he was on a high dosage of insulin, like 15 units of the long-acting and like 4 or 5 units of the short-acting. So the mother was a bit frustrated because she said nobody in the family has diabetes and he doesn't eat, so where you get the diabetes from? So she said the only thing the child likes is to drink milk and eat cornflakes. So from the time she said that, I told her, there goes your problem. The milk, it seems like it's the milk. So I told the nurses in the kitchen, don't give him any milk. I told her, don't bring anything with cow's milk for him. So she did, they stopped it. Immediately as they stopped it, within a few days after stopping it, his need for insulin went down to like three or four of the long-acting and 2 very low of the short-acting. And eventually he did not recover from the diabetes because the damage had already been done. And plus I was asking her to get him some niacin, but he didn't want to take medication. So he ended up going home on that. But he did very well. She also took him to I told her to take him to Dr. Magdalene to check because his stomach was kind of big too. Like there was some kind of infection or something. So Dr. Magdalene treated him and he started putting back his weight. He was playing at school, and up to now he's fine, you know. So it's true that cow's milk can destroy the children's, not all children, those with the risk factor, like they have the genes, those that, you know, have infection in the stomach or in intestine, these children can be victims. Okay, we said that just for revision's sake, type 1 is juvenile or young people like 20 and under, and it's a totally different condition to type 2 though. You must give them the insulin, otherwise they will die. But type 2, no insulin, they don't need any insulin. They do not need insulin, they need to change their lifestyle so that the receptors on the cells will work again. The rust will remove from the receptors. So that's what they need. Okay. So what about type 2? Type 2, up to now, is the same story. Bad fats like trans fat and hydrogenated oils, insufficient good fats in the diet like omega-3 fatty acids, lack of exercise, high amount of simple sugars and processed foods in the diet, high amount of fructose corn syrup causing fatty liver. We said that earlier on, destruction of the liver cells, inflammation from the foods we eat, pesticides, food additives, vitamins and minerals deficiency, you know, high stress life, overeating. All these things contribute to the cause of type 2 diabetes. And it is really an individualized approach, because what that may trigger it for you would not be what triggered it for somebody else. Sometimes you find that somebody, they don't eat much, but they may indulge in maybe drinking too many soft drinks. They don't eat food, real food, but they drink a lot of sugar from maybe soft drinks. Somebody else may do something else, maybe eating all these bad oils, hydrogenated oils and trans fat that is destroying the receptors. So everybody is different. Gut bacteria can trigger inflammation, which prevents the insulin from working also. That's another cause. These are just research findings. Celiac disease is an autoimmune response. Yes, now. And overgrowth of gut bacteria can happen when surgery or disease such as Crohn's, that's inflammatory bowel disease, or celiac disease. Celiac disease is an autoimmune response to gluten, where the bowel in particular gets damaged and begins to leak. These diseases slow down the passage of food and waste products from the digestive tract. This creates a breeding ground for bacteria. So some people are allergic to, they cannot take gluten, and they don't know that. But you must know the symptoms of gluten intolerance so that you will know. If you get bloated when you eat flour-based foods, like you feel a little bloated each time you eat bread or something made from flour, or you feel you want to go to the toilet, you have the urge, but you don't have a nice bowel movement. It's not, something is not right. So you have to watch it. It can mean that you're gluten intolerant. And if you are gluten intolerant, if you continue to to eat gluten-based foods, you will end up with these diseases. And of course, you can end up with diabetes or even one of the other autoimmune diseases like lupus or one of them. Okay? So, diabetes can cause complications to your body, different organs. And so, that's one of the reasons why you have to prevent diabetes, or if you have diabetes, you have to prevent these complications, because if you have complications, then you'll get sicker and sicker and sicker, and you're cutting your life short. There's no need to die from diabetes. As soon as you know you first of all prevent it. And if you did not know better before and you happen to have diabetes, to come down with diabetes, then now you know you have to prevent the complications. Okay? We'll work with preventing complications and preventing diabetes. We will not be able to do everything tonight. I think the next time we meet will be next Sunday, if is that correct? So tonight we are getting in some information, and next week we will do a little more about preventing it. Although tonight I am going to leave you something before we go. Diabetes can cause damage to the large blood vessels, small blood vessels, the nerves, everywhere. Just name it, diabetes can cause complications. Cataract, glaucoma, kidney problems, your brain, strokes, right? Heart disease. Look at the foot. PVD, peripheral vascular disease, even amputation. The amputation is not even there. You know, your nerve damage all over your body. These are the complications of diabetes. We can prevent them by lifestyle change, right? You see, normal blood vessel here, and look how it gets narrow with the lumen diabetes. Okay, so knowledge is power. The doctor, the nurse, the nutritionist, and other medical persons are here to assist you on your journey, but you are the one that can prevent diabetes or reverse diabetes or prevent complications from diabetes, right? And how are we going to do that? We are going to do that with lifestyle change. But before we go into the lifestyle change, is there any question? Anybody has anything to ask before we go into the lifestyle change, right? Because we basically went into to see the root cause of why people have problems with sugar entering the cells. What is the issue? Did you understand? Do you have any questions about that? We are an hour, 15 minutes, 11 minutes into our Let's Talk Diabetes. I have done all the talking. I need to hear from you.
Okay, people, you could unmute your mics and ask Dr. Jean-Louis questions on what she has spoken of so far. So either indicate by a raise of hands and we will acknowledge you.
I have a question. Just a clarification, doctor. you mentioned about the insulin and the muscle cells.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I heard wrong. So the insulin goes into the blood, and that's what makes our muscle cells function the way they should function.
No. Okay,
Or sorry,
let's
it produces the glucose. It produces the glucose.
okay, let me just repeat myself. I said that normal function is that for glucose to enter the cells, there must be insulin. That's the normal function. So insulin and glucose comes together to get into the muscle cells. And that's where we get our energy, and that's a normal process. But with diabetes, the glucose stays in the blood. It stays in the blood. It does not go into the muscle cells. It goes slowly. It goes at its own pace. You have to do all sorts of things to make it go. Why? Because the receptors on the cells are not working well.
Right.
Right? So the receptors are not working well, as I gave the analogy of the lock. You were there when I spoke about the lock?
Yes.
One with a key and one without a key.
One without
So
the
the one
hole.
with the key is that there is insulin, but the locks are rusty, and the doors, well, that lock represents, they can have several of those locks. So I tried this lock, I did not get through. I go to another one. Okay, I gone through. I try another door, I don't get through. I got this one, that gone through. But eventually, if you do not pay attention to what's happening there, you will end up being a full-blown diabetic, right? So if you notice, that's why screening and these things are very important. When you go on the blood sugar, you see, but last time I did my blood sugar, it was 105. Today, my blood sugar is 125, 140. No, something not right. So you go and check that out. Let them do some other tests for you to see if it is your blood sugar that's going up there, so you can correct it right away. So is that understood? I want everybody to understand me, because I want you to get it, because you will be the ambassadors to go out to your family, to your friends, to your church members, wherever you are, and you're going to tell them what you understand, so that they too, because it happens like that. I just speak to people on a one-to-one, and guess what? In a short while, they tell me, oh, my blood sugar is so much better, or my blood pressure that used to be going up is so much better. Just this week, the security guard at my place, he's been coming to see the doctor at my place where I work. He's been coming to check the doctor because he's on medication, but it's like his pressure is still going up and things. So I put him to sit, and I told him, one of the problems, you're probably producing too much insulin. And how he's producing the too much insulin, he's probably eating his portions too big, his choice of food, large portions of rice and starchy foods, or drinking a lot of malt and things like that. And I told him that. So he went and he tried out, and he sees what I'm telling him he tell me, what? These doctors don't tell you these things. I never heard anybody say that, but I went to research it, and that is true. And his pressure is starting to go down. So it's the same way. You have to go and try it for yourself and teach it to other people, so that all of us together does the job. It's not one man's job. So I want everybody to understand it. Any other questions?
Yes, we have Sister George. First
Hi, good
Lady.
evening. Good evening. Thank you very much for this men's ministry. I have two questions. The first one is for monitoring yourself at home. How often should I be testing myself for blood sugar and blood pressure, knowing that we have the monitors kits they normally sell? So how often should one do that? And secondly, our Caribbean diet is heavily starch based, although it may not be processed food based, but it's heavily carb based, heavy starch based. So it has been a cycle or a generational thing, and which is very difficult to break, because from a babe, you're being weaned with heavy starches. And this is very, very difficult to break, especially with bread and white bread and maybe provision and rice and mac and cheese and all of that. How do we wean ourselves off these starches?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the question. Will you be here? I will answer it because I'm not, next Sunday is a long time in coming, but I'm going to deal with, I am going to deal with blood sugar level, what it should be, fasting, how often, that sort of concern. If anybody else has these concerns, I will be dealing with that next time we meet. I think it's two sittings we'll be having. Am I correct? Or one?
We'll get back in touch with the second sitting. We have some logistics to work out. So I'll get back in touch with you on that.
Okay, all right then. So there are a lot of factors to consider when you want to say, how often should I do my blood sugar? If, let's say, you do your blood sugar and your blood sugar is, say your blood sugar is 80, I don't expect you to do your blood sugar, prick yourself like once a week, but every now and then you'll do your blood sugar to see if it's climbing, to see if it remains the same. But if let's say you did your blood sugar today and it's 110, I expect you to do it like next week again. Or if you have the machine, monitor it like twice a week to see if that it's really 110 or it's climbing or it's going down only that day because of what I ate, because of, you put one and one together. So it depends on your situation. If, of course, if you are pre-diabetic or if you are diabetic, you have to monitor your blood sugar much more often. But if you just monitoring to ensure that you remain in the preventative level, then you can do it every now and then. You understand? The second question, yes, we are heavily, our culture tells us to eat all this big dashing and provision and all that. But I'll tell you, lifestyle change, gradually done, especially when you know why you're doing what, it is very powerful and it is very addictive. As you do it, you get deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And then you don't miss what you used to, the diet you used to have before, or the things you used to eat before that caused you to be sick. You will not miss it. You understand? It's a funny thing. It's only by you experiencing that I can say, okay, you'll understand. But we do have alternatives. Knowledge is power, I cannot have all these things and expect, as I get older, expect my blood sugar or my blood pressure will remain the same way. No, it will go up. It will cause complications. So what should I do? I already aware, as you rightly said, that all these starches puts us in trouble. So what are you going to do? You're going to allow the starches to put you in trouble? No, you'll do something about it. I hope I answered your question. Any other questions? Okay, so what's the time now? We will just go quickly into lifestyle change, nutritional changes. That is the only way you'll prevent diabetes or even high blood pressure or these chronic diseases, right? The kinds of foods you eat, the amount of foods you eat, you know, being more, remember we saw inactivity as a risk factor, being more physically active, right? All these things are necessary. Okay. The thing about it, our bodies are unique and need, that's how God made us. We need micronutrients like vitamins and minerals, and we need macronutrients, which are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. But we need it in the correct proportion. We need it to function, right? Our bodies are the dwelling place of God. We are all Christians together and we should take care of our bodies. So if we know putting a big portion of food into our system one time, it will do us harm, or using a particular food will do us harm, what are we going to do? We have to start curbing it. We are what we eat. Actually, the original diet of virtually every civilization is a plant-based diet created by God. Genesis 1:29 told us, behold, I have given you all these things. It was only after the flood that God permitted vegetables and he permitted animal products, right? It is only after the flood. And we saw that in the time of Noah, when God asked him to build the ark. He had the clean animals in twos and in sevens and the unclean in twos. We saw that, right? I mean, you cannot eat any and everything and expect to be in good health. That's where I would recommend the China study to you. It's the China study is was a research that was done by a father and a son. I will tell you more about it the next time I meet you, right? They are not Christians or anything, but they did their study, and after their study and their research, they went into a plant-based diet. It has nothing to do with religion. You understand? It has absolutely nothing to do with religion, but research. That is the way. There's no way you can eat what you want, drink what you want, and expect to be in good health. It will never happen like that. Okay? But we need carbohydrates, we need proteins, we need fats. We need our vitamins from our fruits, our vegetables, and all that, right? But what you really need in carbohydrates is fiber. Fiber is the plant of the part of the plant that you cannot digest. You cannot how you call that? the part of the plant that you can chew and chew and chew, but it's not going to
Absorbed.
right. And there are two types. You have the soluble fiber and insoluble fiber, right? And like carrot, cabbage, green leafy vegetables, all these are fiber, right? Fiber keeps the digestive system healthy and functioning properly. It aids and speeds up excretion of waste and toxins, prevents many diseases. It slows down the absorption of sugar and aids in weight reduction. It binds with cholesterol and removes it from the system. So the bulk, you will still see, like when you eat carrot, when you go to the toilet, you see the little pieces of carrot, right? You will still see the pieces of carrot. All this you see in here, these are examples of fiber. And what you see here, you see local foods there, right? Local foods. Local foods, these are important. So you have fiber, you have complex carbohydrates or staples, and you have simple carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates will be things like oats, carrot, plantain, yam, fruits. Fruits comes both places, but fruits is more sugary, right? So they put fruits on the simple carbohydrates, cakes, alcohol, candy. These are not the best foods for you, whereas these are better foods. But both of them you have to be mindful of your portion sizes. Look at fruits. Some people eat so many fruits for their breakfast, and then they go and have their bread. They go and eat their bread and whatever. Fruits first, and then they're going to have whatever. That's too much sugar. It is just too much sugar. Actually, I'll tell you something. This was my wake-up call many years ago when I worked in Soufrière, in the community hospital at Soufrière. And I remember my practice was I had my fruits and then I had my breakfast. So one day I began to feeling like my mouth sweet. So I told the doctor and he told me, it looked like you're going into insulin resistance because I told him how I eat a lot of fruits and he told me, no, you're eating too much fruits. You're going to insulin resistance. And if I did not check myself that time, maybe today I would have been a diabetic. But I cut the fruits and I started researching, and this is where this whole thing came from. And I started helping people, and then they sent me on the scholarship and all this kind of thing. But you cannot eat all these fruits and then eat, because everything turns into sugar, we said. So today we know better. We have to be mindful of that. Your best bet, the big plate of yam and plantain and all these foods we eat is not the best, especially when we have the risk of diabetes, especially as we get older, especially when we are not taking care of ourselves, like using sparingly oils, using more green leafy vegetables, the right kind of foods. If you don't do these things, then, because what happens when you eat the sugary foods, it makes you produce insulin, and it makes you produce a lot of insulin because your blood sugar goes up, and the message sent to the brain, from the brain to the pancreas, produce insulin. There's a lot of sugar there. A lot of insulin will be produced, and then your sugar goes boom. it falls. And then you feel hungry again, you're going to eat something, and it's like a yo-yo. Whereas when you eat complex carbohydrates, which is fiber, it goes like this, right? So this is a better deal for your blood sugar. Fruits have sugar. They all have sugar. So I want you to be mindful of that. It has too much sugar. So you cannot have fruits and then go and have breakfast again. Okay? Then you need protein. Protein is important for growth and maintenance of your body's tissues and muscles and bones. It has its role. But too much protein leaches calcium from your bone. Excessive protein is destructive to the kidneys and it increases the risk of cancer, researchers say, right? Now look, you have some good quality protein there. Plant-based protein, right? All these are plant-based protein. Avocado, what we have home, the green leafy vegetables like spinach, we have pumpkin seeds, we have kale, we have pak choy. These things are good quality proteins. Beans and quinoa, very high in protein. Lentils, soya beans, and flax seeds, all these are good quality protein. Now, when it comes to meat and these things, saturated fats, we'll see it later, that is not the best for us. And if you choose to eat chicken or meat or these things, it should be lean aspect. And if it is the one feeding on that, forget it. Because research is showing that animals feeding on these things will cause cancer for you, or can cause cancer for you, makes you produce too much saturated fats, your cholesterol go up, your sugar gets worse, right? So if you produce it locally yourself, grass-fed, that is a better option for you. And look at what they do to the meats. They laid it with chemicals for shelf life, and we ingest these things. All these things causes inflammation for us and kills our life, right? Fats have its uses. There are good fats and bad fats. Warmth, protection of the organs, production of hormones, absorption of nutrients. Good fats keeps cholesterol down. Yes, very important. A, D, E, and K, absorption of those. You need your fats, but it's good fats. Improve eye, skin, and brain health. Reduce heart disease. You need it. Best choice of fat, monosaturated fats or polyunsaturated fats. For example, olive oil, avocado, olives, nuts, almond, cashew, all these sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds, all the seeds, the flax seeds, sardine, salmon, mackerel. These are the kind of fish that are the better fish for you, right? Then you have omega-3 fatty acids. It will help fight the inflammation for you. Very, very important. And many people do not use omega-3 fatty acids. And their bodies are ridden with inflammation. And the inflammation destroys the receptors. The inflammation causes arthritis. It causes all aches and pains for them, right? So fatty acids, you get it from foods. They have their uses, and you get them from foods. right? You get them. These are good fats, right? Very good fats for you. Your omega-3 fatty acids will do all these things for you. Improve your bone and joint health, improve your sleep, you fight your inflammation, as I said, promote your health, your brain health, decrease your chance of Alzheimer's disease, improve your eyes, your omega-3 fatty acids. Now, some people tend to buy 3, 6, and 9, but we eat 6 and 9 in abundance, right? And if you have an overpower of 6 and 9, then your 3 will not work for you as good as it's supposed to. So you're supposed to concentrate on the 3. So if you were to buy omega-3 fatty acids, try not to buy the 3, 6, and 9, but 3. Right? So we were talking about trans fat. That's the bad fats. These are the kind of fats. Remember we said in the cause of type 2 diabetes, when you're taking that every day, trans fat, right? And hydrogenated oils, where do we get them? From the vegetable oil, canola oil, all these fancy oils, vegetable oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, all these things. These oils, they causes inflammation. These oils are responsible for your receptors not working properly. They chemically they are treated for shelf life, and if you use them constantly, these are the kind of things will cause you to come down with diabetes and prevent the insulin from being absorbed properly, cause insulin resistance, right? I'm trying to go a little faster because I realize we have a lot of work to do still. and it's already almost 9 o'clock. I don't want to worry you. So trans fat, where do we get the trans fat from? These are the kind of foods we eat that causes trans fat. See them? The foods we eat every day that we love, especially the bread, burgers, fries, chicken, fried chicken, pizza, all these pastries, ice cream. These are the things that destroys our receptors. These are the things that destroy your life. And if you stop them and you nourish yourself, your sugar will get back to normal. Your blood pressure will go down. It will. So you have to use this kind of thing sparingly for treats, not on an everyday basis. Right? I want you to think about it. I want you to think about it. And of course, you have to know other things, like knowing the glycemic index of food is necessary to prevent you from getting diabetes or prevent you from getting complications from diabetes. The glycemic index of food means that they give each food a score, and there are some that are very high. You must know the glycemic index of foods you're accustomed of eating, like bread. Examples of high glycemic index food are white bread, whole wheat bread, soda crackers, soft drink, Lucozade, cornflakes, instant oatmeal, instant creamer. These are foods that makes your blood sugar go up. It makes you produce a lot of insulin. So if you're talking about trying to prevent diabetes, you have to start thinking of glycemic index of food. Rice, white rice, dried fruits, watermelon, potato, the Irish potatoes, pizza, we said that already. All these things, the white flour, the dumpling, these are the kind of thing. And if you have the symptoms of being gluten intolerant, and sometimes you don't have to have the symptoms. If you just do everything and you find your blood sugar is still up, or you see your blood sugar is climbing, like you pre-diabetes and it's getting worse and worse, maybe you should try stopping the processed foods and the flour-based foods and all the high index, glycemic index food, and you'll see it probably coming down. You stop and you nourish your body. You stop, you nourish your body. And we'll talk about nourishing the body, what the kind of supplements you should be taking, or functional foods and stuff like that. Okay, and of course the gluten also causes leaky gut. Intestinal permeability is damage to the small intestine, and the ruptured intestine causes food particles, toxin, waste, and bacteria to pour into the bloodstream. And this causes autoimmune responses. It can attack itself, and you get the symptoms of high blood sugar. You get the symptoms of your bowel not working properly. Remember, we said in the beginning, that's where the nutrients are absorbed, the intestine. And if you destroy the intestine, what do you think happens? If you destroy it, it will not function well for you. So you'll have problems with your sugar again. So you see, all the organs we spoke about, all of them have to be in good condition. You can get also leaky gut by eating foods you're allergic or sensitive to. The body simply doesn't register them as nutrient sources. Instead, it creates antibodies to fight what it thinks are foreign bodies. Antibiotics and steroids can also thin out the intestinal layers. So when you have issues, don't run to the doctor for antibiotics so fast. Reserve it for when you really need it. Okay? Signs of leaky gut, change in bowel movement, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, migraine, eczema, chronic fatigue. All these are signs of leaky gut. All these can be issues with gluten, right? Continue. You have to read your food labels. Reading labels begin to be more important to you now. You have to watch the amount of saturated fats, the amount of trans fat, the amount of high fructose corn syrup in there. So many things have high fructose corn syrup. There are some drinks that are laden with it that destroys your liver, right? It causes fatty liver, okay? Of course, food labels again, you must know how many grams of sugar in whatever you're consuming. For example, a Lucozade has about 45 grams of sugar. And somebody will say, well, Lucozade is a good drink because if you do not have energy or whatever, you can take it to give you energy. It's endless sugar you have in a Lucozade. And you're supposed to drink a Lucozade in three bits, right? 15 milligrams at a 15 grams at a time. But you drink a whole Lucozade, what you think will happen? know your portion sizes, right? You can use your hand to measure. Your fist can give you 1 cup. The palm of your hands is about 35 calories. The palm of your hands is equals to 3 ounces. You can do things like that. Half a cup, your closed fingers, 1 cup, know them, right? Your thumb, a tablespoon, this part of your finger, a teaspoon. You have to be conscious of these things. You have to be. You cannot eat any amount you want or eat anything you want and expect to have good health. No, it doesn't work like that. You can try it if you want, but you'll get the results you're looking for. Vegetables, your plate, half of your plate should be vegetables, 1/4 of the other half protein, and the other quarter carbohydrates. And when I say carbohydrates, you could still have some kind of, do you know that you get protein from all the fruits? You get protein and fats and carbohydrates from all fruits and most of the vegetables too. You get them. So even if you put vegetables here, salad vegetables, and you put vegetables here again, you'll still get your carbohydrates. It will become a lower amount of carbohydrates than putting the yam and the dashing. I'm not telling you not to use these things, but don't use a whole big lot of them because they are starch, especially if your pressure is going up, your sugar is going up. If you have absolutely no problem and you're going to burn it, that's fine. Okay? So know your portion sizes. I think we can stop here for now. When we come together again, I hope you will get another day so we can talk about sugar levels and go further into lifestyle change, because I think it's time for us to take a break tonight for now. Any other questions?
Doc, I see someone was speaking.
Yes.
Okay, someone asked a question. And let me go through some of the questions that was asked.
Yes, please.
The question asked was, so which good food should you recommend and is easily available to low and middle income individuals?
Okay. So you see lentil is a complete protein. Peas are also carbohydrates. Normally our peas and beans are not that expensive. There's so much we can do with peas and beans. They are very reasonable. In St. Lucia, we are fortunate with vegetables like green leafy vegetables. They're not that expensive. So if we use more of those, right? If you want to heal yourself, use more of those. They have food options. I mean, we cannot talk about everything one time. For example, you can do so much with oats, but before you do anything with oats, you should put oats in the oven for about 40 to 45 minutes. You cool it out, and then when you're ready to use it for any other thing, you can just use it, because oats, these grains, a lot of them have what we call lectins. Lectins are like inbuilt an inbuilt mechanism for the insects not to kind of eat the food, the particular grain. So a lot of them, like peas, that's why you have to soak your peas and you have to cook it properly so to kill the lectins, because even lectins can cause your bowel to have leaky bowel and issues with your bowel, the conditions we spoke about, right? But there are, for example, red lentil. I'll just give you an example. Red lentil, I know we have red lentils. You could make a wrap. You could make like, how you call that? Almost like a pancake, and you can use it with anything. Simple. You just soak in the red lentil. You soak it for 3 hours or overnight. And you blend in it with a little salt. That is it. If you want to put an egg in it, for example, 2 cups of red lentil or 3 cups of red lentil, you put a little salt in it after you soak it overnight or 3 hours, and you could put an egg in it, or you don't have to put an egg in it. You blend it, you put your water to make it the consistency of pancake, right? And then you put this thing in you don't have to put a lot of oil. You just pass the oil so it will not stick, a non-sticking pan. And you can use that as a substitute for bread. You could use oats as a substitute for bread. You can make pancake with oats. You can make muffins with oats. You can make, you could even go on the internet. You've seen so many options for making. You can make burger. You can make a nice cheese sauce without cheese. Just using cashew nut, or cashew nut is expensive in St. Lucia. You could make it with how you call that? The seed, not pumpkin, sunflower seed. You understand? You blend it. You add you could add a bell pepper, sweet pepper, right? You put your mustard, your garlic, your onion. Another base for pies is onion. You blend an onion with water, and you make a nice cheese sauce without any cheese, and it tasting good. You could put the coconut milk in it. You could put cornstarch in it to make it, and you make a nice pie. Eggplant, you use eggplant and spinach. You can make a nice lasagna without any shells. You can make a nice lasagna with peas, with that peas, the not slip peas, the other one, chana beans, right? You preparing the chana, you cooking the chana, you mixing it with your sauce. If you want to use the artificial spaghetti sauce, or you make your own with tomatoes and whatever seasoning you want, that tastes good too. You mix that with the peas, and then you make your sauce, your white sauce, and then you put a layer of the noodles, a layer of your peas, a layer of the sauce. All these things making nice meals for you without all that amount of saturated fats. You eating the kind of meat and thing they're giving us now, and also to cut down on the amount of carbohydrates you consume. We are famous for that in St. Lucia because we have the ground provisions, and that's what we are accustomed to. Take a plate of ground provisions and eat it. We are accustomed. But as you get older, you cannot do that anymore. You cannot do that. You have to change your oil. If you can do without using oil, do. But if you can't, you use the lesser evil, extra virgin olive oil for your salad. Coconut oil, it is more resistant to heat. I'm trying to say all these things because I'm not sure when again we're going to meet. I really wanted to go into more things with you because I have the functional foods I wanted you to make use of every day, like your ginger, your garlic, your onion, your turmeric. Turmeric is very good for inflammation. Very, very good for inflammation. Right? Turmeric and the broadleaf thyme. You're making a nice bouillon with your broadleaf thyme. Nobody will never think it doesn't have meat in it. Tasty. You put in your local seasoning. Look, use your local seasoning. Leave the people GMO seasoning in the supermarket. Right? Drink a lot of water. I hope we meet again to talk about the lifestyle change. It's important. Okay? We cannot do everything tonight. Any other questions?
Any other questions, folks?
I did not say the information I gave you there, it doesn't come from me. It came from research. I've been in that a long time and I've seen it work for people. I've seen it worked. When they change their lifestyle, everything gradually gets back to normal. But it's a lifestyle change that's needed. Okay?
Just one question, and I'm happy that you made that last comment there. So are you saying with this lifestyle change, in fact, most of the comments that have been said in the chat, it would appear persons are saying, Mama, it's like the way they used to eat, they have to cut back completely,
Exactly.
totally. And that's a big change. But I realize if you want the lifestyle, the good lifestyle, to live long, then we have to change these habits. The way we eat the banja and all of these things, we need to cut back. So are you saying that with this lifestyle change, that one who has diabetes can see a reverse to normalcy?
Yes, I would say that because I cannot give all that information in one sitting or two sittings, but I personally I have a program, diabetes program, a structured education where I go into depth details, and at the end of it all, the person understands and they know exactly. When I say lifestyle change, it's not just diet, but you're sleeping, the water intake, how you drink water, when you drink water, all these things are necessary. Do you go in the sun, get some sun, quality sun in the morning? That's important, right? Even your mental health, your relationship with with others. Do you hold grudges? Do you get vexed with people and don't talk to people? All these things impact your health, your relationship with God. Is it really what it's supposed to be? All these things comes under lifestyle change. And this is what that will make you get better or reverse a condition for you, right? And this is what, and added to that, there are certain in the meantime, certain nourishment, because if your body is deficient, as I mentioned in the causes, I did say deficiency. Some people, they eat, but they don't eat to nourish their bodies. They eat a lot of junk and they don't know it's junk. They're thinking it's food. When you go and cook all this, cook this and cook that, and you eat and you eat and you eat, you have not nourished your body. Real nourishment comes from seeds, nuts, herbs, vegetables, fruits. These are the real thing. Real nourishment comes from keeping away from all these hydrogenated fats, all these trans fats, and you see all the foods we eat that causes trans fat. When you keep eating these foods, remember, these are modern foods. Long ago, they did not have these foods. When Adam and Eve were in the garden, they did not have this kind of foods, right? But modern man has these foods. And I can share another analogy with you with a vehicle that's a researcher shared, saying that long ago, we knew grains and nuts and seeds and these things. And then people started coming in with processed foods and packaged foods and all these kind of foods. And that is why we have all this diabetes, cancer, and all this kind of thing. But if we want a solution, if we want to reverse that, we have to change. And it's possible, because I tell you all the time, I see it. People listen to the same a few minutes, especially the insulin production, making your body produce too much insulin. What it can do, make your pressure go up, make your sugar, make you resistant, your insulin resistance, and stuff like that. Working on that alone, you've seen a changing your levels. When you want to do your blood pressure again, you begin to see, and plus nourishing yourself. B complexes are very important. I'm giving you all that information because I'm not sure if we're going to have another sitting.
We'll have another sitting, I could assure you.
B complex is another very good base to start. When you take B complex helps you break down your carbohydrates, your proteins, and even fats. It helps you break down and use it up. So that is, you should, if there's anything else, even if you cannot even afford to buy our multivite, and you don't need multivite all the time if you eat properly, right? But you see a B complex, try and take a course of B complex. Try and take a course of omega-3 fatty acid to cut down the inflammation in your body so that all the arthritis pains and all these kind of things you're feeling, you will begin to feel less of it. Or as you get older, you will not be a victim of that, right? So if you're accustomed of eating all that bread, biscuit all day long, you're eating this, that, and the other, try and gradually, everything happens gradually. Intermittent fasting is a good way to help you. And what is intermittent fasting? You eat within a window, right? And you starve yourself, not starve, but you stop eating for about a good 16 to 18 hours. But you eat a sufficient meal within that window, maybe 2 meals within 6 to 8 hours. And you said, okay, give my body time to absorb the sugar I have taken. Then not just the sugar, you have sugar in your system from times because of the fact that the receptors were not working properly and the sugar keeps saying, and that's why they go all over the place, damage the nerves and all that, right? So give it time. Give your body time to absorb. As you do these things, your needs, you'll see your hunger spells and all these things will go down. Your desire to just drink a soft drink or malt or a Lucozade and all that, it will gradually go. Eat more vegetables to start. That will be fiber fills you. fiber fills you. Okay, so lifestyle change is the key. I cannot overemphasize this. Over the years, that's what have been working for the people I worked with, for the people that took it seriously, and they are fine. That's what has been working for them, lifestyle change. So that's what I recommend to you to prevent diabetes or to prevent complications from diabetes. Okay? And if you have any further issues, then next time we meet, we are going to talk about the deeper issues, actual supplements you can use to start to help you. Okay? I think you're probably tired.
Okay.